Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where I muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, guess what? Something finally really ticks me off, and it's just so exciting. It's like Christmas in December. Yes, it is, precious. It is Christmas in December because finally, I don't have to, on a stream, defend this man, George R.R. Martin. I've been having to do it for the past, year because everyone keeps pulling out of their butts all sorts of asinine clickbait, rage bait, engagement bait things, trying to say things that he didn't say or trying to make a false comparison, or rather a false narrative about how he dumps on Tolkien, for example. And even though I don't like Martin in many, many ways, even if it's someone you don't like, you have to be honest. You have to be honest about even the people you don't like. So I've had to defend this man. But baby Jesus, 6 pounds, 8 ounces, baby Jesus has given me a gift today. I do not have to defend this man. And I think it's kind of fun that I'm doing this right after I did a stream yesterday about rage. But you know what? This is okay, rage. This is okay, rage. Well, look who it is. It is Steve Kenobi. Hello. Am I to understand that you are a bit peeved? Oh, hail yes, I am. Hail yes, I am. Yes, it is. Oh, and thank you. We do have a super sticker. We have a super sticker precious from Salty Traveling Sea, and it is a rose. Thank you. Thank you very much. May all the showers of roses come down upon you and make you, happy and all of that good stuff. So, for that, you, sir, get a very special rose from me. Thank you very much for your 99 super sticker. George R.R. Martin can't get his writing done. No. Well, not only can he not get it done, he cannot STFU. Oops, I hit my microphone. One of these days, if I ever do a face reveal, you all can see what I'm actually doing. I'm usually raving and wandering, and my hands are going everywhere, and I've been known to knock over cups of coffee and tea because it really is infuriating on so many different levels, because George R.R. Martin, with how he's been behaving, it touches across all of the fandoms. To me, it's like a trigger. It's my ultimate trigger, where they have the idea that they don't owe the fans anything. You don't owe us anything. It's like, hell yes, you do. You owe us a lot. Hell, all the people in the chat right now, do I owe you something? Yes, I do. I mean, you've been supporting me. I've been super chat, super stickers, DMs, all this stuff about as I was going through things this last year. And it's like, yes, I kind of owe you stuff. The fact that you even keep coming back to my channel. Yes, I owe you. I owe you my gratitude. I owe you, most of all, respect. Freaking respect. I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of meeting certain actors. One of them that comes to mind is William Zabka and Ralph Macchio. Oh gosh, I can't even say his name without. They know that we spend money. What are we spending money on? We're spending money to have a moment with them when we go and get their autographs and stuff. And they give it to you. It's usually about 30 seconds, but by golly, they give you that moment. Many other actors. I've not met him in person, of course, but I've always told people Robert Carlyle. Gosh, cannot say enough good things about him. Can't say enough good things about Adam Horowitz. And it was very exciting because he actually made an appearance on my other timeline, on my best of once, and it was very good times. Very good times, brought back many good memories. But yes, you owe the fans. You owe the fans. Do you owe us something, George R.R. Martin? Yes, you do. Because no one told you you had to write 7 books. There is a contract with the fans. Freaking Robert Jordan was dying. And then he died. And he was respecting the fans. That man is respecting the fans from beyond the grave. He gave us Sanderson. Well, the wife was the one that found Sanderson. So yes, you owe us. Yes, you owe us. Yes, you owe us. Yes, you owe us. And more importantly, you owe us kindness. I talk a lot about how you need to be kind to people. Well, you know what? Celebrities, maybe that's what really is ticking me off about this. Celebrities, these kind of entitled authors. Yes, you owe us kindness. This also goes for everybody. Everyone deserves kindness. And when you have people that you know want nothing more than for you to release the winds of winter, and you just keep being flippant or making jokes or just talking about how it's such a burden. It's such a burden. Any writer will say, "Hell, when I had deadlines, guess what? You sat your ass down and you wrote. And if you were having trouble, you found the people to go." I had kind of a writing partner. She did it for me and I did it for her. Where it's like, "Hey, I'm having a little bit of a block here. Can you read this? Can you help me jumpstart it?" Hell, if you're a religious person, go to the Eucharistic chapel and pray to Jesus to help you with it. Find the energy of the earth, but you can write it. But most importantly, you owe us kindness. George R.R. Martin, you owe us kindness. All right, let me see what everyone else is saying. I'm just starting to really rant all over the place because, listen, he does not deserve to be defended on this Winds of Winter thing. Not one little bit. No, he does not. All right. Steek says, tip to future writers, do not overcomplicate your work. Yes, that is correct. That's another thing about writers. Believe it or not, keep it simple. That was one of the best advice I got from an editor, the editor of my work. He told me actually to go out and buy a book. This was back when you had to like go and buy a book to get something done. He didn't even really give me any feedback. He just goes, "I want you right now to go to Barnes & Noble and buy this book called Write Tight. Read it, apply it to this essay, and then resend it. End of story. Keep it simple, stupid. Warning, if you ever come on my channel, you will get AA slogans. They're good for you." Not surprised in JRR, but I feel for the fans. I'm assuming you mean George R.R. Martin. Yeah. Hi, folks. Yes. Salty Traveling Steve says, "Oh, cheers." Steek says, when Martin told his customers, oh, maybe you were reading my mind. When Martin told his customers that his story would be told in 7 books, he entered a contract with the readers. The fans bought the books thinking it would be 7. He owes people to finish those 7. Yes, 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 and yes. That's why, for example, I will defend Stephanie Meyer till the cows come home. Even though Twilight sucks, I know it sucks. It's my guilty pleasure. That woman delivered 4 books and entertained the hell out of us and delivered them in a timely manner. Rowling, she did the same. Everyone's cheering each other. Respect Soul Assassin. Oh, Soul Assassin's here. Did I miss you when I was ranting? Steve Kenobi says, he blamed it on depression because ism in the world too. Tolkien wrote books during World War II. I think ism was stronger those days. Absolutely. And for crying out loud, Tolkien was in World War I. All his friends died. It's like, don't give me that. Shh. Don't give me that. No one likes excuses. But most importantly, no one likes excuses from somebody who is coming truly from a place of privilege. It's what I call punishing the fans for liking the book. He presented a book. We loved it. Made him a gazillion millionaire. And this is how he treats us. I'm going to get to what he said in a second. I probably better do this. I'm starting to bury the lead. Everyone's saying hello, hail, speaking of which, Immaculate Conception's coming up. Swinging by to say, Gorilla Censored Thoughts. Hi, but can't stay. My birthday stream is an hour. Well, happy birthday. Adiga Outlaw. Question: when did his first book out, and how many has he written? Asking for a friend. The first Game of Thrones book came out in the 90s, and he wrote them pretty quickly. Every year or every 2 years, I think the first 3 came out, and then there was a 5-year gap between the other 2, and then now we've got what we've got. Oh, thank you. Please follow me on Twitter. Thank you very much. Heisman says, so why does he need assistant help for writing his books? Now I know I'll never watch the Game of Thrones shows. Well, yeah, never watch that. Gee, that was terrible. Game of Thrones was great the first 4 seasons, in my humble opinion. But yeah, we see this is the thing. You get an assistant. I mean, you get an assistant. I'm making a ton of money right now because I've been getting hired to be a musician assistant with orchestras, for lack of a better word, a consultant. I just got another call today for another gig where it's my job to go in and just say, hey, I don't have time to work with this section. Could you work with them for an hour? So I'll take the violins or the cellos or, the altos in the choir. If you can't get something done and you have the money, George, you have the money, get someone else to help you. Get an AI for crying out loud. Do whatever it takes. Jeannie Mac. Oh, writing's so hard. No, it's not. I think he just doesn't want to admit he can't finish the book. Steeg says, oh, thank you, Steeg. He's coming with facts. The first book was in 1995, I think. 2 and 3 followed not too long later. 4 came out in the mid-2000s. The 5th was in 2011. He has released 4 books after 2011, I think, but none of them are book 6. That is correct. He's done the Duncan Egg ones. I just read the Hedge Knight, the real one. I'd read the graphic novel before. Very good stuff. But again, it doesn't take too long. Martin has an assistant. It doesn't help. Well, yeah, it doesn't help if he's not doing anything. That's the consulting gig, Teresa. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I would give the word for it, but it's just very hard to. So I think consultant is probably the best. Yeah, that's what I've been doing since I quit teaching, among other things. But yeah. All right, so let's see. Let's see how he's punishing the fans. Because he thinks he's being funny. Ashley, Steve, if you want to pop in, you're more than welcome. Help me rant because you have more facts than I do. Because Steve actually knows more about the books than I. The Ice Dragon, Fire and Blood, The World of Ice and Fire, and the Duncan Egg book, which has 3 books in it. Yes, and Duncan Egg is quite short. Fire and Blood. Fire and Blood, I think, was co-written, wasn't it? That people helped him out with that, which is fine. Which is absolutely fine. Sure. Okay, says Steeg. All right. So I'm going to send the link to Steeg because you had something to say, but I don't feel like it's for me to say. I want you to say, because he doesn't understand. I really think he doesn't, but he should. There's no excuse for being ridiculous, and that's a kind way of saying another word that starts with an R. You need to be very precise when you are talking in an interview. There's an art to it. Now, in many ways, I don't do interviews. The last interview I consented to was in like 2007 because no matter what I did, they always had a spin on that. But that was really before we had social media where I could call them out. But yeah. Adiga Outlaw says he might have lost some mental capacity with age. It could be that he is incapable. To be honest, this comes from my doctor's point of view. Well, it's possible, but then you pull a Robert Jordan and you get someone else to do it. But this is what's inexcusable. First of all, it is inexcusable that he's not done. But number 2, it's inexcusable for him to have such a shitty attitude about it. I'm doing better with the F-bomb, but the S is coming up. So, but he does. He has a crap attitude. No one likes people with a crap attitude. No one. And this goes over to some of the other things that we've been seeing, like with Wicked, is left a bad taste in my mouth that the lead actress, who I've heard is just fantastic in the movie, has such a bad attitude toward her fans. It's just like, really? I mean, gosh, people would die to have fans like you do. I mean, you've hit the freaking jackpot for crying out loud, and this is how you behave? Okay, well, let's see what he said. I cite my source down here, Hollywood Reporter. Now, part of the reason why I do it this way is because it is almost impossible for me to go through these articles because the ads mess up everything. The ads mess up everything. And it's Steve Kenobi all the way from the future to help me out here because, again, you know these books far better than I do. I frankly know Fire and Blood better than I know Song of Ice and Fire, and I'm still working through it, and I've not really read all 3 of the Duncan Eggs. But what are your thoughts, Steve?
He needs to learn to shut the fuck up because I'm thinking this is another case where he was trying to be funny and then he didn't read the room again, right? Because
Mhm.
this has happened before 5 or 6 times. You know,
Yeah.
the guy has some kind of social, issues.
Yeah. He tells it like it is, savage. Yes. And hello, Charlie Stevenson. Thank you for being here. Well, you've got it. I'm so mad I can't even come up with words. We talked about that yesterday about how anger can affect your synapses because he was teasing us early in the year with the whole WOW, and he is not a stupid man. I don't care what anyone tries to tell me. This man is not stupid. So he knew he was getting the fans' hopes up. He knew he was getting the fans' hopes up when he talked about having it back in 2020 in New Zealand. He's not stupid. Is he a sadist? I mean, am I missing something? Well, there goes my channel. Actually, I don't know if that triggers anything or not, but it doesn't he have a blog or something? Well, yeah, I mean, it's not a blog, but yeah, but
Well, I'm actually looking at his list now. He has 10 writing credits for books and collections, what have you, since 2011, and he's done plays and a video game and stuff like that, and TV show writings. In addition, so it's not like he's not been writing. It's just he's not been writing the stuff people want,
mhm,
and he's done a ton of editing for the what's it called, the Wild Card series that he's kind of producing. It's a
mhm.
superhero thing, but and Fire and Blood, that's a huge undertaking, right?
Yes.
So much information. It's almost 1,000 pages of history. So all that came from him, but he didn't actually write the book.
Yep.
He's a co-writer for that one. He came up with everything that's in the book, but didn't actually write it. The same with the World of Ice and Fire.
Yeah. So
And fun thing, book 4, which was let's see, book 4 came out in 2005. 2005 is the last time we heard from Sansa Stark, because she's not in book 5. So she's been in the Eyrie since 2005.
So if
That's almost 20 years.
20 years. So yeah, so if you gave birth in
Yeah,
2005, your kid is now out on their own or in college,
yeah,
maybe
and
getting to be where they can have their first child in a few years, if they
you know
want.
you know what it says at the back of book 4?
What?
It says like, oh wait, there's no Tyrion in this, and where's Jon Snow? Blah blah blah. Well, uh, that'll be in book 5 because he split them, right?
Yeah.
And don't fret, because that book will be out next year. Um, that came out in 2011, so next year was actually 6 years.
Mm.
So the shit we're seeing now, that's not new. He got
Yeah.
a pile of shit for that after book 4 as well. Granted, when book 5 came out, it was an awesome book, perfectly written and all that. So it's not like the guy, can't write, or
Yeah.
he's like spending a ton of time releasing a shit book. The books are 10 out of 10s, really. Um, but just fucking write them,
Yeah. Just
you
do it.
know? I mean, yes, you can make excuses because he's done the TV shows and all that stuff, but not, you can't excuse that many years,
No. I
you know?
mean, get an
It,
Airbnb, give somewhere like on airplanes. I do a lot of work on airplanes now, but now that we can have Wi-Fi, sit just write for an hour. That's what Sanderson does. He actually makes it. It's like his office hours. He writes for a certain amount of time and then goes off with
yeah.
the kids.
Terry Brooks writes from, I think it's from 8 in the morning until 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep.
And then he doesn't touch books until the next day. And he does that every, from Monday to Friday, like a job.
Yeah, like the rest of us have to do. Well,
Yeah.
when I used to write, when I used to drink, I used to have a glass of red wine. It's like I'm gonna write while I have this red wine. Right. Wine's done. Okay, I take a break. Do what it takes.
He did say that he can't write unless he's at home because he
Then
can't
go home.
focus. Yes, stay at home. There was a pandemic. You were
Yeah.
locked at home. He was whining about that too. Why not write during the pandemic? It's right there. You're trapped in your house.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell did you do? Besides blowing up balloons, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay. Oh, I want to say hello to Subhuman. He has here. It has been 44,891 days since the Dance of Dragons.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
gosh.
to be fair, Fire and Blood, The World of Ice and Fire, and the Duncan Egg collection came out uh, after that, as did The Ice Dragon, which is a children's book set in Westeros. So it's actually canon.
Yeah.
So there's been 4 books from, about Westeros since then, but it's not the books people want.
Mm-hmm.
People want the main series to be finished,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like you're wanting ice cream and you're given broccoli instead.
Oh, so you should watch the Game of Thrones South Park episodes. He
Oh.
basically kidnaps the kids and says they're going to get pizza, and the pizza never arrives. And then he says, well, if you wait for another 30 minutes, it's going to be a better pizza, and it's bigger, and it's going to have pepperoni on it. And that one doesn't arrive either. Yeah, it
There we
just
go.
keeps going for several episodes.
Yeah. Now, everyone, Bad Take Bojan is here. She is part of a stream that we do on Tuesdays now, I think. And yeah, we're ranting and raving. And thank you for being here, Bad Take Bojan. You will have probably a good take on all of this. Everyone is saying hello. And let's see. Subhuman. I was going to start the series, but if he's not going to finish it, then what's the point? Exactly. That's where I am right now. I've been slowly reading these friggin' books over like 7 years because when he friggin' said that he was going to have it in New Zealand, I think it was 2020, the August of 2020, I'm like, okay, need to start reading these suckers. And so now I'm in the 4th book. It's ridiculous. Yeah. No point if there's not an ending. I always say this is the equivalent of if George R.R. Martin, no, not George R.R. Martin, J.R.R. Tolkien left us with the Two Towers. And then what would be the equivalent? We would have gotten The Return of the King in like 1970. I mean, come on. I love it. It's so good to see everybody. Thank you so much. But most importantly, he's behaving badly. We know this, and I will defend that. He is behaving badly with how he is shortchanging the fans. But this is worse. I think I can maybe be teased. I can maybe be like, okay, fine, I'll wait and I'll wait and I'll wait for your book. But what I cannot tolerate is him having this crappy attitude toward his fans, this mocking that he does. That is not okay. Because he's not hurting the people that, the trolls that are out there, or the wannabes, or the fan tourists that just watch Game of Thrones and just like to say nonsense about it. When he says this kind of stuff, he's not hurting them. He is hurting his fans. I have a friend that started reading these back in 1996, and she is still friggin' waiting. See, in 1996, I was still in college. I hadn't yet gotten my teacher's license. People have lived lifetimes. And then he has this bad attitude. Well, and then he has the nerve to get all mad about what they did with House of the Dragon. It's like, well, you know what? Now you know how it feels to be disrespected and ignored.
Yeah, because he's right about his criticism about that show.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's doing to his fans, though, is the only ending we have for his main story so far is actually that.
Mm-hmm.
And he is making it so that we are getting the shit writing instead of his really good writing. So, effectively, he's kind of, well, he's not doing the same as the show writers, but it has the same effect. We're getting a shit version of the story because he just simply won't finish the books. I still think he'll finish book 6, but I have serious doubts about book 7.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can forgive him for going to the great beyond without giving us book 7, so long as he does what Robert Jordan does. But from everything I've seen from him and heard from him and people that have spoken with him, he's not going to let someone else finish it, so he claims.
Yeah.
Which is really selfish. Really, really selfish. I sincerely hope, though, he has greedy relatives, whoever the people that inherit his stuff, and that they go for it. See, for once, I want to have greedy relatives. Like, be as greedy as J.R.R. Tolkien's grandson, great grandson, and get it sorted. Good take, Bojan says. Won't start reading them until the final books are out. I want to read them again. But there's so much else on my unread bookcase. That's a good point. That's what you've been saying, Stieg, a lot.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I reread the whole series this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it. So far the story is a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
That bit's fine, but there are other writers. If people are simply waiting for one writer to finish his work, I mean, come on, you're lacking inner resources. It's well, you've read all the Feist books.
I was going to say he delivered. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
26.
Granted, he started in 1980 or something, though.
Yeah.
So,
but he kept coming out with them, though. I mean, he came out
Yeah.
with a book almost every year.
Yeah, but they have like 3% of the cast, right? But still, he finished, and it's a great series. And why aren't his fans reading those books, or Terry Brooks, or Robert Jordan? Robert Jordan's probably the closest to Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All that stuff is out there. So just read something else and let him take it as a bonus if he finishes, right?
Yeah. I think the frustration is, though, from what you just said, the series is a 10 out of 10. It's great fantasy.
Yeah.
It's great alternate history. And so I'm not going to get in with people that don't understand it, because I think they haven't even read it. So if people haven't read it, you can't discuss criticism of it. But
well, to be fair, most criticism of it on Twitter and stuff are from people who watched the show or saw scenes from the show. They have not read the books. You can spot it right away. It's like spotting Disney shills and stuff that never read the EU, but they claim they did. But you could see it right away.
Yeah, they pretend they know about Margie.
or Rings of Power shills that claim they're huge Tolkien fans, but they only watch the movies,
Yeah.
right?
There you
So
go.
it's there's a little pandemic there, and it's hitting Martin, it's hitting Tolkien, it's hitting the old Star Wars stuff and all that. And if you claim to be a huge Tolkien fan and you only watch the movies, you're a normie,
Yeah.
because the source material
Yeah.
are the books, and if you haven't consumed the source material, you're not a fan. Simple as that. You're a casual.
Yeah. Or a certain book, like you're a Peter Jackson fan, but
Yeah.
yeah, when
We,
you
we,
read the books, there is just no comparison. As magnificent as those movies are as
yeah.
standalone adaptation, it the book just blows you away. Every sentence of
Yeah.
Tolkien.
And
Yeah.
next year we're getting a new Joe Abercrombie book. That guy's never disappointed me whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new Terry Brooks, which is like a Shannara prequel, filling a gap in the series that fans have wanted for
Mm-hmm.
decades. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's a new Witcher book.
Oh yeah, we're just all waiting
Yeah.
for it to be translated into
Yeah.
English.
And Weiss and Hickman are starting a new Dragonlance trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So plenty of stuff coming out. Probably a new Conan novel at some point, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, and the Conan comics are amazing. Yeah. Well, Soul Assassin, I think, is kind of saying some of the perspective. I wonder if he was hoping that Game of Thrones show would finish the story for him, but didn't think it would fail badly. Oh, I misunderstood when I first read this. I don't think he wanted that. His story is his story, and he has some criticism of some of the writing that they did in the TV show.
they kicked him out after season 4.
Yeah. So
And
I don't
that's
think
when it completely abandons the books too. So I think he would have, if he wanted the show to finish the story, that went out the window after season 4.
Yeah. However, I was maybe hoping that that's the ending, because by the time that the last Game of Thrones season aired, he was already 10 years late or something. So I was thinking, oh well, this might be the ending we'll get, and if it's satisfactory, it won't matter from a certain point of view. And remember, at that time, I was only a TV show fan. I had not read it or read his work. So, yeah, Charlie Stevenson, I agree. It's starting to look like Pride has gotten a hold of old George. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Soul Assassin, absolutely. Yeah, he admits. Yeah, just seen the show and friends who read the books. I'm not scared to admit it. Yeah, nothing wrong with admitting it. I think what's annoying is when people maybe try to pretend they know, and that's why I often don't engage. Well, I quit engaging on Twitter X absolutely for the most part, but yeah, nothing wrong with being a normie.
If you only watch the show, that's fine. The problem is people who claim to have read the books and stuff, and they obviously only watch the show.
Yep.
Or the Peter Jackson trilogy, or whatever you want to.
Yeah, and we talked about that. Who was with High King Feanor? We talked about that actually in the Tolkien fandom that actually hurts the Tolkien fandom, because sometimes the writers of the Rings of Power have even said it seems like a lot of the critics don't understand the source material, and I hate to admit it, they're right. But there's Rings of Power people are still wrong because they're being disingenuous about it. You could always read my stuff. Yay, let's all shill. Yeah, go for it. Yes, you can find Adega Outlaw stuff on Amazon. There's also, other stuff out there. I'm a nonfiction writer, but yeah.
You know what I think has happened to George? All the fame and attention has made him complacent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's happened.
Yep. And prideful. And I think Jacob's right here. I'll never criticize books because I've never read them. Yes, but I will criticize George R.R. Martin for his actions. Absolutely. For example, like this. Yes. Or like his stupid rant against 50% of Americans. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Finally, I'm gonna get to reading what he actually said. And it slightly occurred to me that maybe this journalist didn't help the situation. I can see how
No,
the journalist
because
said,
you know, after he says, after it says he continues,
mm-hmm,
that bit was left out of the headline where it says,
yes,
but it's still a priority. That's not in the headline.
yeah. So the headline elicited a certain feeling,
Yeah.
and so there was a bit of a bias coming into reading this. However, where there are quotes, it is quotes, and he just needs to be careful with what he says. And some people say, well, he can say whatever he wants. It's like, yes, he can say whatever he wants, but I can criticize him for it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm happy with myself because, with the exception of getting some of the books on Audible, which I acknowledge is partially buying his work, I have been able to get all of his books, including Fire and Blood, from the half price bookstore. So I don't want to give him money. I gotten it from thrift stores.
Oh, I got all of it from Amazon, but it's been 4 years or something.
Yeah.
Since I bought any of them.
Yeah. Well, and no criticism there.
Actually, that's not true because I bought the graphic novels.
Oh, you did. And no criticism there because
No.
I'm not one of those that will criticize somebody for paying money because I will pay money for things. I was more bringing it up that, at least for my personal satisfaction, the fact that I have been able to find the vast majority of it from half price just makes me feel better. But other people, gotten given them money.
The graphic novels are 10 out of 10s too because they stick to the books like a hawk, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But so credit to the people who made the graphic novels.
Yes, good adaptations. And
Yeah,
the more I think, sorry.
Same thing with the people who did the Wheel of Time graphic novels. They've done a 10 out of 10 job so far as well.
Yeah, you read my mind. Yep. So let's read what the writer says. Of course, it wouldn't be a conversation with George R.R. Martin without asking him how he's balancing these projects, all these other projects that we're talking about in the article, with the long-awaited sixth and the final book, The Winds of Winter.
Spoiler, he's not balancing it at all.
Yeah, you got to do something. You got to have something to balance. The Winds of Winter.
Two things he's not balancing. It's his work and his diet.
Yeah. In his Song of Ice and Fire series. Unfortunately, I am 13 years late, he says. Every time I say that, I'm like, could I be 13 years late? I don't know. It happens a day at a time.
Which is, well, to be fair, he isn't 13 years late because that would imply that he'd write book 6 in a year. Which would be unreasonable given the size of the books.
Yeah.
But 13 years since the last one.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be completely fair, I'm going to say he is 8 years too late.
Yeah.
Because as a 1,700-page book, as detailed as those books are, I'd give him 5 years. And I think that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 years too late, which is still insane.
Yeah. Well, and when you are in that situation, again, you can't afford to be flippant. Like, I think he's trying to be flippant. I think maybe even he's trying to be funny. Perhaps he's even just talking off the top of his head, which, I've seen him do that. before.
Yeah. I've seen him do exactly this several times. He's trying to be witty or something, and he thinks his fans are going to laugh with him. They're not.
Yeah.
It's a case of him not reading the room at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that we're beyond that. There's only one thing we want to hear
Yeah.
from him is that it's done and when it's going to be published.
It might have been funny in 2015.
Yeah.
It isn't
It's
now.
no. And Hail Friend says, Free Focal Phantom, good to see you. It's been a minute. Yay. Thank you for being here. And it happens a day at a time. Again, I'm just like, shut up with
Yeah.
the freaking
It
AA
happens a
stuff.
year at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a bird and it's like one day at a time. Oh, just shut up. He continues. And this is where you said that maybe there was some stuff in between, or maybe the reporter was even prompting him. Because I think that maybe the reporter was sensing blood in the water, but still, Martin said what he said. He's got to be careful. But that's still a priority. You know what? Don't tell, show. If it's a priority, show me how it's a priority.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's not a priority when all you're doing is producing and talking about how excited you are about all these different things, except the book, as you said, that we want.
Actually, I spotted another place where the author of the article clickbaited too. It's, he says, oh, he'll never be finished. Maybe they're right. I don't know. Here's the thing. He's talking about the obituary, that he might die before it finishes. That's what he's saying. Maybe they're right about. Because he says, I don't know. I'm alive right now. Right after. So that bit got taken out of context.
Yeah. I can see that, perhaps. A lot of people are already writing obituaries for you. Yeah, so the topic is that he thinks he's going to die. They're saying, oh, he'll never be finished. Maybe they're right. I don't know. I'm alive right now.
Yeah.
But
so he's not saying maybe they're right about him not finishing. He's saying maybe they're right about him croaking before he finishes, which is different.
It is different. However, that's still crappy, though.
Yeah.
Because that's been our fear, and I think it's a good fear. I'm sorry, it's just math. Like, my folks are going to be 78. They know what math means. They know they'll be lucky if they have 10 more years. It just is a mathematical fact. This man is only a few years younger. So him being flippant even about him dying, it's like, dude.
Yeah, and he says, I seem pretty vital, exclamation mark. So it's probably, the exclamation mark is him joking, right?
Yeah.
But for fuck's sake, stop joking about this book.
Yes. You can joke about anything else, but you can't joke about this. The joke worth it. As you said, if this was like 2012, even 2013, maybe we might chuckle. But it just seems like, also when he talks and he keeps saying, hey, I've got other things, that's also the tone of it that is so frustrating and so annoying.
And the reason he has other things is because he kept adding other things when he should be focusing on the damn book.
Yeah. He chose to have other things.
Yeah. Maybe he has trouble saying no. That could be a thing, but I doubt it, because he keeps he has complained that he has said yes to too many things. Fine. But then he says yes to more things after that. So I don't feel sorry for him one bit.
No. Yeah. But either way, it's still here. He's saying maybe we're right. We're not going to get the book. And maybe he thinks that's funny. But I just keep going back to Robert Jordan when he found out he had a fatal diagnosis. What he said in his blog, the first thing is, fans, I haven't forgotten about you. I have this in a video where I was reading this out. He's like, this will be finished. I will get this out. And
Yeah.
his
Well,
his first thought was for his fans and for his work that he knows they want. And this man knew he was a dead man at that time.
yeah. And what he did, he immediately started making notes. So
Mhm.
when his wife finally found someone to finish the book, which was Brandon Sanderson, he had a stack of 6,000 pages, I think it was, waiting
Mhm.
for him. It was a huge box of notes uh, Jordan had scribbled down, and he had written parts of the final chapter of the last
Mhm.
book, and I think parts of the first chapter too. But I think the part of the last chapter is that he's written, or the last few paragraphs, because they read like Jordan, not Sanderson. So he wrote the end scene.
Mhm. And in my research, I found that he was even dictating how he saw certain scenes unfolding from his bed when he couldn't write. And then, his wife and other people wrote it down. He was like, okay, this is I don't know, parent. I haven't gotten that far in the thing. Maybe he's dead by now. I don't know. But he's just like saying, this is how I look at this scene happening. And just compare that to, oh, I don't know if I'm going to finish. Screw you, fans. Again, he's punishing the fans. And here's the thing, what have the fans done to him? What have the fans of his work done to him except buy his stuff, support him, promote him? People have made
Yeah,
video channels, free publicity.
I mean, I'm one guy, right?
Hmm.
How many times have I spoken highly of his work, his skills
Hmm.
as a writer, like all the
Yeah.
time, because it's true. He is a fantastic writer, but I sure as hell can't defend this shit. I can see
Nope.
where some of it is coming from, and I see some of the clickbait, but it still doesn't excuse him.
No.
It's more of a stab at the reporter a little bit, uh,
It goes
but
along with what he's done in his Lana blog. It's very similar to the
yeah,
same tone. Like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Oh, sucks to be you. I mean, remember when he said, I feel sorry for people that are wanting the winds of winter because I've got all this other stuff? Like, what a prick.
yeah,
I'm
it's uh, I don't know, but like I said, there are other fantasy writers to read. And
mm-hmm,
if you like Tolkien and if you like Martin as well,
mm-hmm,
the the complete middle way between the two is Robert Jordan.
yeah,
He's dead center between those two.
yeah. Read the
In,
Wheel of Time.
yeah, and that's 14 bricks, and it's finished, and it got finished really well, which
Mm-hmm,
I think when it comes to big works like this, if you get a satisfying ending, that's all you can hope for, because if you have 10 million readers, right,
yeah,
you're not gonna have everyone say that it's a perfect ending. It's impossible. So
yeah,
if you get a satisfying ending, uh, that's good enough, I think.
yeah. I should also add 14 bricks plus 2 prequel books. Or was it one? Did he
Uh,
publish more than one? Maybe
well,
he was going to. I forget. He
well,
has at least one prequel book.
oh, Robert Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did one of the prequel books. There was going to be three.
Mhm.
Um, so people
Yeah.
wanted Sanderson to write those, but he said he didn't want to.
And I think that was a good decision. He did what he did, and that was that. Now, Ricky 2416 says, best case, I'm looking for wins in one Duncan Egg novel. A Dream of Spring is out of the cards, in my humble opinion. Yes, unless he is done very similar to what he did with the Feast for Crows and the Dance of Dragons, where he decided I'm just going to make it one big book and split it in two, but the final book is the end. That's the only way I can see him getting it done.
He kept saying that he didn't want to split the book like he did with 4 and 5, and I get that because it got a bit weird. But at this point, he might as well do it and then re-release it later as one book,
Yeah.
right? Give us 1,000-page Winds of Winter Part 1, right? And then release the next one when it's done and call it Part 2.
Yeah.
And then, re-release it later on as a collector's edition with Part 1 and 2 in one volume.
Yeah. Now, looking at this maybe legally, I don't know the answer to this. Can his writer, his publisher, take legal action against him for not meeting his deadlines, for not coming out with his work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can indeed, because when you're a publisher has to plan their publications too,
Hmm.
right? They can only print so many books per year, right?
Yeah.
So if they have like a certain amount of printing time set aside for his book, that's taking stuff away from another author's, printing time, which means they will make less money too, because it's like potentially it could be a month of printing, right? That
Hmm.
never that's not used.
Yeah. Maybe they're tolerant of it though because they know it's a gold mine. Like when that book does come
Yeah.
out, it's going to make a gazillion dollars. It's going to be
Oh,
huge.
well, that's guaranteed,
Yeah.
because it'll be a bunch of junkies finally getting a fix after 13 or 14 years. But uh, there are other writers that have been just as slow. I mean, Patrick Rothfuss, he released book 2 of a 5-book series in 2011, before George Martin released Dance with Dragons. And his books aren't nearly as complex as Martin's books are. So he's actually slower. And he's been on YouTube and stuff, playing board games with Will Wheaton and Felicia Day, doing all kinds of other crap.
Oh, well, that alone puts him in my naughty list.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
why isn't he getting shit?
Well, no one
Because
cares. I've never heard of him.
he was like a big up and comer. But
But he, up and comer who couldn't
yeah,
finish.
he, he got it up, but that's it.
Yeah, I was about to say something dirty, but oh dear, I'm trying to behave myself. It's
Yeah,
Advent after all. But
yeah, and another thing is we haven't had a proper Elder Scrolls game since 2011 either,
oh, don't get me started on
because
that.
that's when Skyrim came out. They've had an online game, but that doesn't count.
No, it doesn't. No. At the end of the day, though, what's behind the anger is, first of all, I don't like being disrespected and I don't like unkindness. It's getting to be unkind what he is doing. And number two, the frustration that we know that if he finishes this thing, it will be a masterpiece. It will be what he'll be remembered for. It will be the magnus opus of the late 20th and the 21st century.
Yeah,
Can you
he'll
imagine knowing that and you just sit on your ass and say, I'd rather drive a train and jump on a trampoline instead?
yeah. It's probably a hell of a lot of pressure on him now, though. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine if it was you, right?
Yeah.
It's been 13 years for whatever reason since your last book, and people are not just expecting the books now; they're raging at you.
Yeah. Well,
No, and
what he
it's his
needs.
own damn doing.
Oh, yeah. It's his own fault. We have no sympathy for you, sir. But the thing is when, oh, what he needs to do, he needs to publish it and then erase all of his social media and go live in the mountains. Like, don't even look at what people are saying about it. Just go back to your trampoline. And as hard as that would be, you just can't look at criticism. I think that it would just be too much. And so he's got to be mature enough to do that. But we've seen how he's not very mature, like with his stupid rant. Remember the rant he did, like you were saying, he was saying because of fascism, that's why he's not
Yeah.
finishing it. It's like, really?
Yeah. Well, you could argue that there was more fascism in the early 2000s with the war in Iraq, right?
Mm.
And
Well,
stuff like that.
most people don't even know what fascism actually really is. I
No,
mean, it's so misused nowadays. Yeah. But
yeah. But, you know, if you can't read the room, just shut the fuck up.
yeah, just zip it.
Yeah.
Take your lips. Have you ever done this with like preschool? When you're going through the hallway, it's like, okay, everyone needs to hold up their finger and put their finger over their lips. That's what you need to do. Pretend like you're 3 years old in a preschool, George Martin, and shut up. And if it's a question he doesn't want to answer, just don't answer it. Just like have this little warning bell go off. I
Yeah.
mean, when's the last time? When's the last time you have heard George R.R. Martin say, you know what? My fans are the best. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the fans. When has he thanked the fans? I don't remember when he's ever thanked the fans.
Oh, yeah. He has done that, but
Okay.
not enough.
No. Like every single time he needs to say,
It's
what what about the winds of winter? And he needs to say, you know what? I have the best fans and they've been so loyal to me and I would be nothing without them. Like every time Winds of Winter comes up, he needs to do that.
Yeah. I don't think he said it with the Winds of Winter. I know he said it um, during the first four seasons of Game of Thrones,
Mm,
and I think he said it with the World of Ice and Fire, because that is, for the fans more than anything.
hmm
Um, so he has said it, but um, not enough, and he needs to say it in regards to book six.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Show a little bit of gratitude for what you have. And again, this whole idea of punishing the wrong people. Sometimes I've heard you say, well, you should see what some people say on social media. It's like, yes, I know it's probably pretty crappy, but you know what? That's not everybody. Quit
No,
punishing the majority for the actions of a few.
usually the people who have a go at him are people who have never read the books
Yeah,
at
they're
all,
just social media
or
trolls.
and to be fair, or it's Tolkien fans,
Well, I put that in
because
quotes because they don't.
because they were attacking Robert Jordan too back in the day, and they were also attacking the Star Wars prequels. So
Well,
it is a thing, sadly, but it's not everyone, of course. But it has happened almost every time someone gets compared to Tolkien or something, or is in, because the Star Wars prequels were kind of competition for the Lord of the Rings movies, right?
oh
So
yeah,
they got attacked by Tolkien fans as well. Um, and I'm saying this as a Tolkien fan. It happened.
yeah. Well, Tolkien wouldn't have even liked that. When you read his letters, he didn't have that kind of. Well, he didn't even like fandom. He was a man. He was a gentleman from a different era. But there's a reason why I never use hashtag respect for Tolkien because I'm not so sure people actually respect him or even know him. I found that out too, that I found some people, oh, they actually don't know his works. They don't know his letters, his writings, things about
Yeah,
his life.
yeah.
It's, or they're
It's
very selective about it.
Yeah, it's very often people will just join a hashtag because they want to impress a YouTuber that used the hashtag or something. But it's crystal clear that they only watch the movies.
Yeah, or even people that maybe have only watched the books, but try to say things about like his life and stuff. I mean, that's one thing that really annoys me.
It
It's
should
like,
be respect Tolkien's work, really.
yeah, but also for me, respecting Tolkien is also respecting who he was. He was a very, very devout Catholic, and he took things like a traditional Catholic takes like the Ten Commandments very seriously. And in a lot of his writings, especially the new letters, some of the more spiritual stuff is in there. And I understand why in the original letters thing, they said, oh, well, this isn't really relevant. But to the maybe what some people might want to see. But bearing false witness in his name is not something that he would want anyone to do, because from his point of view, that would be putting their soul in danger. So you're not respecting Tolkien if you're engaging in this uncharitable
Yeah,
activity.
because it is with the hashtag respect Tolkien. It is done as in his name in a way.
Yeah,
So what's done and said in your name reflects upon you.
yeah. And what was important to him? His family and his faith. That was what meant to him, and the pursuit of truth. And yeah, his writings were actually kind of secondary. I mean, he was mainly of course, a professor, a philologist, and he wrote those books obviously, and it became the greatest fantasy ever written, and many people say, including Martin has said, the best book of the 20th century. But
Yeah,
it still was not his life. His life was the other things. The four last things were very much a part of his life, and you see it again in his letters, especially when his son was in World War II and all that, like focusing on what is really truly important. And as much as I love fantasy and I love all this stuff, it's not worth losing your soul over or losing your peace over. um Corey Cochran says, I think he
no,
got the book done, but waits to drop it to piss everyone off. Well, I sincerely hope that he might be trolling us, and then, like on New Year's Eve, say, surprise, it's coming out in June. That would be cool. I
it
might
would be
forgive him
cool.
for that.
It would be cool, which is why it won't happen. But uh,
There,
I
Luke is
I
here.
think at least one more Duncan Egg book is finished, and I think the sequel to Fire and Blood is done.
Hmm.
But he can't. It, they're both kept in limbo because of book six, because both of them will spoil stuff in book six.
Yeah. Well, he said in that Nada blog that some of the answers about who can ride a dragon is going to be answered in book six. Because
Yeah,
that question has come up, especially because of the House of the Dragon show, and then
yeah,
even in Fire and Blood, that was an issue. Like, people are wondering, how was Nettles able to claim a dragon? So we know that there are things that are in there that will change his views, and some of the Summer Hall stuff, and the whole tourney, the whole thing with Rhaegar. That
yeah,
something happens there that is a key to the end of the whole story.
yeah. The stuff about how to ride a dragon and stuff, I think, has to do with Tyrion.
Interesting. Because he's
Yeah.
got the weird eyes. You think he's a Targaryen?
Half.
Yeah, he's a half blood. Speaking of half blood, gonna go on a slight tangent here. Actually, before I go on my tangent, uh,
Speaking of half blood midgets, Tommy's in the chat as well.
oh no, he's not. He's tall. He's taller than me
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, probably taller than me too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm the winner on this about height. But in any case, chat or Steve, before we go on a tangent, is there any last things you want to say about Martin?
Yes, Mr. Martin, shut the fuck up.
STFU. There we go. We've done it. And be kind to your fans. You see, again, we're going into territory of unkindness what he's doing. It's uncharitable, it's unkind, and
And you know what? He doesn't realize that that's what he's doing.
yeah.
Like I said, he doesn't read the room. He's not doing it to be mean. He's doing it because he's clueless.
Mhm. Corey Cochran said he does not need the money, so why hurry to drop it? I can see him even wait like a year or 3 after he dies for the last book to drop out of spite. I can live with that. I don't care if he dies. Oh, I'm sure his family will care, but let us know that we'll still get it. I think if he were to come out and pull a Robert Jordan and say, no matter what happens, fans, you're gonna get the ending that I've promised you. That's all he has to do. I could wait forever.
Yeah, I I think he's as any writer, he's very concerned with his legacy.
Hmm.
He does not want to be remembered as someone who had probably one of the best stories ever told on page and then fucked it up.
Yeah.
He does not
So if
want to
you're
be remembered as that.
so if it's your pride, Martin, fine, delve into your pride on this, even though I don't approve of pride, and
Well,
get it
he
done.
seems to have no problems swallowing, so why not swallow your pride while you're eating the cake, sir?
Oh, gosh. Well, there you heard it. Heard it here first. Just, I don't know. It just was something that just really pissed me off. It was one of my triggers. And I was also so happy because I don't have to defend him. I've been sick of defending this man. So good. Yay. Thank you. Tommy says, I think it's more than like a lot of these people that have written novels and have gained some kind of fame tend to become full of themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. But in Martin's case, he had a lot of fame in the '80s because he was the writer of for the Beauty and the Beast show
Yeah.
with Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman. So he had fame before he started this, but
But, sorry.
I don't know. I think it's gone to his head now.
Social media, I think, has changed that. Social media and things like blogs. Like, you didn't have blogs. So, like, we never knew that Stephen King was such a twat until we saw his social media. And if he didn't have social media, he wouldn't be feeling the fame or even the dopamine hits or how many people read his not a blog back in the day.
Personality wise, uh, George Martin is obviously a better person than Stephen King.
I would agree with that from
For
what I
all
can
his
tell.
faults, he's no Stephen King is in a different league. Him and Mark Hamill. George
Yeah.
Martin's not even close to these people.
Yeah. Well, and just the awful things that Stephen King has said about his fellow Americans. It was just beyond the pale. Corey Cochran says, to me, a big LL would be that the backlash to season 7 to 8 of the show scared him, and now he tries to figure out how to change the ending and is stuck for fear of getting it wrong, perhaps. But yeah, but hey,
No, no, he literally said he's not changing the ending.
oh,
If Yeah, he
I stand
said if
corrected.
yeah, he had a, I think it was a blog post or something. He was saying that if people alter the ending that was intended due to backlash or something, you're going to make way more mistakes. But season 5 to 8 has almost nothing to do with his books anyway. So there's the yeah,
Yeah.
there's not going to
Okay.
be a Daenerys somehow forgot about the fleet and all that stuff is not even in it. I mean, hell, the Night's King isn't in the books.
No. Danny kind of forgot.
Yeah,
They gave us a meme forever, though. Look who's here. No, Proyo say, did George say he is still writing Winds of Winter? I
yeah.
suppose he did say it. Yes. He, yeah,
He
it's
he,
still
he
a
actually did.
priority. It's a
Yeah,
priority.
yeah. Makes you wonder what the scale is,
Yeah.
because it's like a priority is on the 4 out of 10,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so it's not like yeah, Night's King. Yeah, there is like a Night King, but it's like not at all anything like it, and it's a historical character, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
it's just like a legend from way back, and he was not the first White Walker. He's called the Night King because he was uh, he basically took over the Night Fort and made himself king of the Night Fort, and he married what seems to be a female White Walker. That's all
Mm,
there is about him. You know,
yeah,
there's no rumors that he might still be alive somewhere or anything.
yeah,
So and that's even in the bonus material for the early seasons of Game of Thrones. It's and then
yeah.
they just tossed him in there, and all of a sudden everyone knows that it's the Night King, even though nobody said that word in the previous seasons ever until Davos suddenly says, "Yeah, we need to unite the North against the Night King." Like, where did you get that name from? Oh, you probably watched the bonus material. Okay,
There you go. He got the DVD. The others are only in the first and the third book. Um,
no,
no, I
they're
think they're
in
in
the
the fourth book, aren't they?
no, they're in the beginning of the. No, wait a minute.
It's the beginning of the fourth book because remember. Oh, no, it's the beginning of the third book. Wait,
Yeah,
Norporio might
yeah,
be right.
yeah. He is right. Um, they're not in the second book because I keep thinking of seasons, right?
Yeah,
But
and they're not in the fourth so far. Yeah, we stand corrected. Thank you, Norporio.
yeah, they're not in the fifth either. Um, they are. Sam kills one at the beginning of book 3 because they're being chased from the fist of the first man. So, which gets attacked at the end of uh, book 2, really.
Yeah, that prologue is amazing because they hear the different blows of the horn.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, the guy is a terrific writer when he writes.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. Well, they made it like the Borg Collective in the TV show.
Yeah,
It is just so stupid. And I agree
George
with you, Corey. Sorry,
George
go ahead.
Martin said that they're very much like elves, but they're kind of elementals. So they're very graceful and stuff like that. So not like the show at all.
Yeah, stupid. Well, Martin, but that's what everyone's going to think of your story, unless you finish it. And of course, now that they have gone full ridiculous in the House of the Dragon, so he doesn't even have that. Like people pretty much praised the first season, and it was pretty good. But in hindsight, we're realizing, hey, it was really that we liked, Patty Cassadine and Matt Smith just kicked ass, and it covered some of their issues, and we're seeing the fruit right now in season 2. It's a horrible season.
Yeah, the thing is, they only play on emotions on people, and sadly, it
Mhm.
works because after that scene when he's walking up to the throne, in complete pain and all that stuff in season 1,
Yeah,
people were like, "Oh, best king ever! That's a true king!" Blah blah blah. I'm like, did you forget that he's the cause of the whole damn thing?
yeah.
You know,
He he
he
should
did
have.
something brave. That means he's the best ever, even though the whole fucking conflict is his damn fault.
Yep. It was all very simple. Once Aegon was born, male primogenitor should have taken place. The Norporeal life form says, "Yeah, the Night King being defeated in order to beat the army of the dead was the dumbest thing ever." Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Corey and the other books are good. Oh, he's talking to Corey there. I don't want him to be like our Salvatore and dump out 50 books, but come on, finish it. Yeah. Well, and Salvatore, of course, was doing something completely differently. I'm really enjoying the Forgotten Realms. They're really great books, but yeah, I wouldn't call it high fantasy, and they're fun.
Well,
They're
it
not.
technically it is high fantasy.
Oh.
uh,
I stand corrected.
but it's not epic. Because high fantasy is the more fantasy elements you have, the more races you
Understood.
have, the more magic, So definitely high fantasy, and so is Terry Brooks and Feist.
Oh, definitely Feist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I
The
misspoke.
George Martin is actually low fantasy
Yeah, there's not a lot
because
of fantasy at all.
yeah, you have the White Walkers and well, the White Walkers and magic and the Children of the Forest are very much in the fringes of the story. They're not at the forefront.
Yeah.
Dragons are, yes, but other than that, it's just humans.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever was going on in old Valeria, that is definitely something wild, but we've never seen it. We've just heard of it. Um, the alternate world too. Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it, and not to make it petty, but to me, R.A. Salvatore's Forgotten Realms books are kind of like soap operas, though I know it's higher than soap operas. It's where you just kind of, oh, I'm just going to delve in and I'm just going to love this. Just going to have maybe fun with it. But it's not like I'm going to go back and analyze each chapter and all this other
Oh,
stuff.
you know what? That's exactly the intention behind them too. He even said it.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted his books to be like a new season of a TV show that you could
Uh,
watch, a new season every year.
yep.
And it's not heavy plot driven at all. He intended it to be character driven.
Yeah, and that's partly the success of them is that you fall in love with the characters. Even the
Yeah,
Cleric Quintet, which I'm reading right now, it took me a while to get over the fact that it wasn't having Dritz and all those other ones. But when I kind of just delved into his world, it was a lot of fun. So that's something else to do. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, says Corey Cochran. Yes. So now to go to my tangent, they allegedly might be casting Severus Snape with a race swap. And when I say maybe, because the wording that they're saying is very ambiguous. It's like he's being offered or he's being eyed to do this, which makes me almost think that they're putting feelers out, that they're leaking it to see what the fan response is. Am I out of my mind on this one, Steve? Or I don't know.
I I don't know, but it's definitely gonna spur some racism, right? But if you look at it, you have a character from a broken home that's stalking a white woman, and they cast him as black. It's who's the racist, right?
Yes, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Of all the characters for them to race swap, his is the worst because
Yeah,
okay, it makes sense. It makes sense to do some of the diversity in the Harry Potter world because it is our world. And we're talking about London and the wizarding world where they travel and all that. You will find racial diversity. And she even wrote it into her story. However, none of the main huge characters are, and maybe that's where they're going with. But I'm like, race swap Dumbledore, race swap, I don't know, just about anyone. But as you say,
well,
race swapping Snape goes in a darker, no pun intended, territory that I think it's sending a message they don't want to send.
yeah, it can very much be angled poorly, and it kind of shows what they think of black people if they cast him as Snape.
Hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it has to be him because black, but it would be worse if Sirius Black
Oh,
got
was
race.
black.
Yeah, because he could just go seriously black,
Oh no.
right? So, but heck, uh, it would be actually better if they race swapped Harry Potter himself than
Hmm.
Snape.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. Snape is a white character. He is the villain of the piece, and I will defend that And that is what makes Harry Potter so ingenious, is because he's a villain that's also a hero in a really weird, twisted way. And the way she wrote it and crafted his character is something unlike I've seen or read. If there's something else that you can compare with, I cannot, where you have someone that you realize he's like a triple, quadruple agent. He's the most courageous person, according to Harry Potter, but he's also actually horrible. He, at the core, is kind of rotten. It's a villainous character. And this white man, and I'll call him a white man because he's a white man in the books.
Well,
He,
he's almost like a vampire.
yeah, they call him like a vampire. He's like a bat. Orange Chat Reviews pointed out that he's described as being greasy, like greasy hair, unkempt.
Yeah.
So they go, let's make that person black, even though he's white. That sounds very ist, in my humble opinion, because it's like, wow, it's like if you had a story where there is a drug dealer who, robs people at gunpoint or whatever, and in the book it was white, and they decide in the movie, let's make this person black, because that was a stereotype that was often done, like that, especially black men, what are they doing? They're thieves, they're awful. And a very ist thing that has a horrible history, especially here in America, is the idea of the way a black man, quote unquote, with a white woman, that it used to be this really ist thing where if a they thought that they were obsessed with white women, and so they used to kill them. A lot of the inchings would be because of that. Emmett Till, just for saying a few words to them. So Severus Snape is completely obsessed with Lily Potter. He is borderline stalkery. He's got this sociopathic obsession with her, to the point of he spent his entire life doing what he did for Harry, but not for Harry, for her. He didn't turn on Voldemort because Voldemort was bad. He turned on Voldemort because he killed Lily. Period. Everything he did was because of Lily, because everything, his obsession was Lily. His obsession with Lily was so sociopathic that at his last moment, he told Harry, "Look at me," so he could look at his eyes and pretend it was looking at Lily. That is sick. I will defend that. That is a sick obsession. And they decide that's the character they want to race swap. That's wrong. And I think it's
Yeah.
what they're doing if they do it. Any character they could race swap. But this one, no.
Yeah, I think what they do first, early on in these productions, is actively look for who can we race swap, who can
Mm-hmm.
we make bisexual or gay,
Mm-hmm.
and who can we make trans. I think that's how the process works now. That happens early on, before the casting, really.
Yeah. Well, the good news is for them, canonically, Dumbledore is gay, so they already have their gay main character. He's the main character of the one of the main characters. Um, and I've said before, I don't mind race swapping it if it makes sense. It's like fine. They did that with Hannibal. They did the TV show, the FBI dude. He was black. Who cares? It was modern day Washington D.C. It's when they do things like what they did in the Rings of Power, where you have these hobbit like characters that there's only like 10 of them out in the middle of nowhere. They have no interaction with cities or anything. And you've got like Asians, black, and white, and everything in between with Irish accents. It's like, no, that does not make sense. Modern
Yeah,
day characters that come out of London, it makes sense that you're going to have diversity.
yeah, absolutely, it does. Uh, they also screwed it up with the Wheel of Time, where all the characters are from this very secluded village.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what the name of their country is, right? And all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, there's half the town is black, right?
Yeah.
When we're told in the books that the black people are islanders, they're called sea folk. They're the best sailors in the world, and they have their own kind of magic too, which is weather magic and stuff like that to make their ships go better, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, there's like sea folk technically in that little village, which is dead center on the map in the landmass, right?
Yeah.
And then
Again.
in books, it's a big deal when they meet the sea folk. It's actually a thing in the books, but it won't be that now. When it's like, hey, that those sea folk, they might be your uncle and aunts.
Yeah. Well, and the main character, Rand, that's partly how you know he is an outsider because his coloring doesn't match everybody
Yeah, and
in his
everyone else
life.
they run into think he's an Aielman
Hmm.
because he is.
Yeah. Now, Nordportalial life form makes a good point here. People are pissed because it was promised it would be more faithful to the books.
Yeah, what they're gonna say is, yeah, we're gonna have more plot lines.
Yeah, they're. I guess the best I can say is shame on us for believing them. They said that about Rings of Power. People said season 2 was going to be more faithful to Tolkien. Of course, it wasn't. But I knew it in the back of my head that they were not going to do it well. But you're right, Nordportal, because we have the images that we have from the books, the way she wrote them, many people since they were children. And she has diversity in the story. The diversity is there. So why would they change that up? That's a good point. And it was to stir the fans. Yeah, rage bait. I actually thought about that this is rage bait, or sometimes they call it fan bait. So now maybe even people could take things that I'm saying completely out of context and they're like, see, racism. So now they have their headlines when they interview the guy. How did you deal with the racism that came out? Let me see. Oh, you said J.K. Rowling said he was gay after book 7 came out. The first time I heard something cringe and woke. Yes, I remember that. It was a big deal. Yeah, she wasn't. There wasn't a time at that time she didn't want to put it in the books, but yes, she has said so. And of course, in her Fantastic Beasts thing, it is very, very clear. Notorial life form. I thought Severus and Leigh were close friends. She went for the bad boy bully James. They were close friends. Yes, I'm talking more about what happened afterwards, after they quote unquote broke up, when he called her that terrible name. Hence why I don't watch anything modern, says Tommy. It's made to appease a marginal group. Yeah. Yeah, Rand is also taller than everyone else. There are
Yeah.
opportunities, says Tommy, for them to write their own unestablished characters. They won't, though, because they almost always fail. Corey Cochran, I never think it would be more in line with the books. When was the last time that happened? Yeah, I didn't believe them. I remember when they said that. I think maybe what they meant was things like in the Half Blood Prince that they changed, like the way Ginny and Harry hooked up was completely different in the books, and so they come back and say, "See, we did it after the Quidditch game." That in those aspects, and the Death Day party and the Chamber of Secrets. I agree about rage bait, and I guess maybe we fell for it a little bit. I've also seen it posited that they want to make Snape black because they want to bring in racism as part of the story, which is silly because there is already racism in the story, if you will, with the whole pure blood and mud blood. So they already have it. It doesn't need to be based on skin color. In the wizarding world, it's not. So if they do go that route, which maybe we think they are, that would be even dumber.
Well, what if they race swap someone that's being called the mudblood?
Mm. Well,
That's not gonna
technically,
look good, you know.
yeah. Let's see. Are there any ones? Yeah. Now, Snape is actually half blood. because his mother and her name was Prince, and his father was not. But yeah, they're basically making the the abused poor person who gloms on to the pretty Lily and is obsessed with her till death. It's just not a good idea, and it doesn't even need to happen. I mean, unless they're thinking they really don't want to try to have anyone comparing his performance with Alan Rickman, so maybe they're thinking that's something. On the other hand, it's not a done deal. I have looked carefully at the wording. It is not been cast. And maybe the actor's going, I don't need this in my life.
Well, the actor also played George Boleyn in a TV show earlier, so he seems to seek out roles like that.
Yeah, or his agent does, yeah, which of course is a historical figure. And that is also where race swapping is bad. When you have a real person, you need to be accurate because, especially when it comes to race, it almost diminishes the real struggles and the lessons that we have learned from the past.
Yeah, and
What was
what what's the other signal that they send though when they go, yeah, we're race swapping Snape, so black people can identify with the person, and then they have like a person like that.
yeah, yeah, I was gonna say that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah,
it's ism. It's really
yeah,
bad.
it's like here's like we put a black person in there that comes from a broken home and he's stalking a white lady like a psycho, so you can identify with him and feel represented. That's fucked
Pre-
up.
Precisely. Yeah. Now, other places where race swapping is okay, accepted, and has been from the dawn of time is actually theater and opera. That is a thing. Partly,
Yeah.
especially because you have to be able to sing a certain way and all that, and that's why you can have fat people in opera or
Well,
and even in
not
theater.
not just that. If you have characters whose origin doesn't matter to the story,
Hmm.
like like you said, you could race swap Dumbledore,
Yeah.
right?
Or you said Harry Potter. Yeah, make Harry Potter
Yeah,
Asian.
Harry Potter can be black or Asian or whatever it is.
Though it would be wrong if they made Hermione Asian. That would be an awful stereotype.
Yeah, the best one in school is the Asian.
Yeah. Oh boy. So I understand though why people are disappointed, but I don't know. Shame on me. Shame on everyone. I include myself that we even thought it would be good. I mean, look at what Fantastic Beasts. That could have been amazing. And what a mess. What a mess. And I think also because people agree with Rowling on one thing, I'm stealing your point, Steve, with the girls in sports. Let me just use that euphemism. They think that means that Rowling agrees with us on other things, but she's been a lefty through and through her entire life. She only has deviated from the leftist position on the one issue about women.
Yeah.
So why should people be surprised if she's doing what she's doing? Or how much is she truly involved with the production? Salty Traveling Sea says, you know what also could have been amazing? The Hobbit movie. Oh, yeah. Well, there were amazing moments in the Hobbit trilogy. Like, if you take out certain
Yeah.
moments, it was great. The music
They
also was amazing.
yeah, the acting was great. Basically, every time there's an action scene, the movies get cartoony.
Yeah.
When there's
The
no
act.
action, it's great. I mean, the whole river thing is retarded in the movies.
Yeah.
The, those barrels would fill with water and sink.
Yeah. And they would all
You
like
know?
have concussions and actually break their skulls with the way they're bouncing around and hitting rocks and all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, it could have been. That's a very classic example of studio interference for sure. Ah, wouldn't this be wild? Corey Cochran says, I'd be shocked if the Weasley family is white in the show. They will leave. Oh, because they're real redheads. Yeah, what do they call it? The redhead eraser. There's a word
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you'd also have like portraying, let's say if they make the Weasleys black, then yeah, the poor people are black.
The poor people with 7 children. Well,
Yeah.
if they're gonna race swap Snape, obviously they don't care about stereotypes. See, this is the kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, that we were raised with. And when I was doing my anthropology studies, it's like these are the stereotypes and the ones that we're trying to get out of society. Of this, like watch Gone with the Wind. Oh my gosh, it is so ist. It's awful the way they portray them, and it was racist. I understand when it was written and where it was written, but it is ist, and people did better. I hate that the fact that do better has also been hijacked because there is something about doing better. There are these stereotypes, and they were harmful and literally harmful because, as I said earlier, some of these was behind something that rhymes with inching. So it's a real thing. And it's like we're we're reverting. It's like they're going back to the friggin' 1930s, make the bad guy black, make the poor person black. And I don't know. It's just I don't like it. They not make them like I say, they make them Spanish. Think about it. Oh my gosh, if they make then they can be anti-Catholic. Oh gee. Oh, don't even want to start. Oh, what a mess. But was anyone truly looking forward to this? I wasn't. See, I was going to be watching this series with, ah, I'll just have a look. But the movies
Uh,
were great,
I, I,
especially the first
I,
few. I loved it. I remember waiting for them and going to see them at midnight. I'm perfectly happy with the movies. There were some things in the later movies I wish they'd changed, but I'm fine.
yeah. Basically, I'm a normie. I've seen the movies and I've read the first three books.
Hmm.
Right. Uh, I like them well enough, but they're also not my cup of tea. You know.
Hmm.
But it's. I probably would have watched the show, but I wouldn't be like, "Yay! It finally airs." You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have the iconic sets. We have John Williams' theme. It's synonymous with Harry Potter. And, there's only one McGonagall. I mean, we'll always have McGonagall. We'll always have Alan Rickman as Snape. And even the 3 kids, especially when they were little, they were just adorable.
Yeah. And the only
Yeah,
one who's not a twat now is Draco.
oh, of the actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the
Ron
actors,
Ron
those.
Ron, Ron Weasley might go to jail for tax stuff.
Oh, what an idiot. I think Ralph Fiennes, though, didn't he stand by Rowling? He might have been one of the other ones.
I think so. I think Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Either just by staying out of it. But yes, thank you, Tommy, for stopping by. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Um, yeah. Well, and we also have Yay coming up next week, the War of the Rohirrim, which is not even close to Tolkien's story. You see, at first people were excited. It's like, oh, it's Peter Jackson. Oh, it's going to be based on this story. And then we get the synopsis. It's about a woman named Hera. And it's like, that's not how they pitched it. That's not how they sold it to people. And as we've been seeing more and more about it, it looks awful. I don't know if you've seen the scene that they released and some of the previews.
It looks
Yeah. Well, it looks like just a basic kind of anime with a girl boss. Not to knock it, but it really reminded me of some of the ones that I watched as a little girl. I used to watch like Battle of the Planets, and there was this character called Princess, and that just kind of, you know, means something. Oh, oh, Steve. Okay, yeah, I got you there. Yeah, Steve, it's getting late because it's like the middle of the night over there. So
Oh, you muted yourself.
I was just saying, Steve needs to pop off because it's getting to be the middle of the night, and
Yeah, it's 2:30, and I'm getting tired. Simple as that.
yeah,
I need to sleep and remain pretty.
pretty and soft as a meadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Steve, for coming on, especially for the help with some of the technical aspects of fantasy and, of course, George Martin's books, which you have far more knowledge of than I do. So I appreciate you being able to pop on.
Yeah, and take care and be well. And the same goes for the chat as well.
Yay. Well, thank you. Okay. Well, the one true king of the North.
Yeah.
Good
Good night.
good night. Yeah.